Michael Caine. Exclusive interview by Romany Bain. "We're in for a spate of downtrodden spy films," said the bespectacled six-footer, stretching his tight trousered legs from the depths of a leather sofa Mata Hari would have envied. "Real down-to-earth thrillers about real spies in real situations," he added, lighting a Gaulois. "And believe me, they present difficulties 007 never knew." I was taping the first of the downtrodden spies, Michael Caine, who, after his superb performance as the officer in Zulu, has been cast as Harry Palmer, the seedy spy in Harry Saltzman's film of Len Dayton's offbeat espionage novel, The Ipcress File. At first I was a bit nervous, lest my tape would suddenly emit incomprehensible Ipcress noises, but it seemed quite normal, and I started to brainwash him about the ethics of spying. "A good spy must be completely immoral," he said. "He must be a liar and a cheat and a thief. He must be crafty, two-faced, sadistic, and a killer. Not exactly a good friend. In fact, to paraphrase Hemingway, if you've got a spy for a friend, you don't need an enemy. So he's not exactly a delightful chap to play in the first place. Then there's another little problem. I've been given the leading role in this picture, what's called the starring role when stars play them, so I'm naturally expected to become a star. Now, a star is someone who stands out for many reasons, personality, looks, this sort of thing. But the most important facet of a spy's makeup is that he can mingle into any kind of background, and that he is completely ordinary and self-effacing. So how do you become a star at the same time? I just don't know. And until I see the film, I shan't know if I really know how to play it, instinctively, yet almost by accident. And yet, until I see the film, I shan't know if I really know how to play it, instinctively, yet almost by accident. But for someone like myself, it's a pretty scary adventure. You see, there's no pre-sold image like James Bond had. 7 million copies of Dr. No had been sold before the first film even appeared. There's no great entertainment angle, no glamour in Ipcress. No Aston Martin covered in trick guns to take your mind off things. There's just this Harry Palmer. Why, he didn't even have a name in the book. We gave it to him. It's all in the first person. It's a pretty scary responsibility for the Joker playing the part. Office Boy Start. This year's most likeable, fairly modest Londoner, who wears horn rims on and off the set and is the first screen hero to do so since Harold Lloyd, is a professional actor who has learnt the hard way, seen a lot of life, and deserves a break. Born in the Old Kent Road on March 14th, 1933, his mother was an office cleaner, his father worked in Billingsgate Fish Market as a porter. He lived in the Elephant and Castle area all his life, except for 6 years during the war when he was evacuated to Norfolk. He was educated at Wilson's Grammar School, Peckham, and his first job when he left school was as an office boy for a film producer. Although he wanted to become a film director, he didn't seem to be getting on very fast, and he took a series of other jobs including pneumatic drill operator, warehouse worker, and a cement mixer on construction sites. The only exercise he takes now is on a parallel bar fixed to his wardrobe. Suddenly, he decided he wanted to be an actor and joined the famous boys' Clubland drama classes in the evenings. He was 20 by the time he'd done his national service, part of it in Korea, and he returned to a job in Smithfield Meat Market, till he saw an advertisement for an assistant stage manager in a repertory company at Horsham and signed on for £2 10 a week. But it was a struggle. Golden-haired and with an athlete's physique, he played every kind of juvenile lead in rep and learnt the language and accent used by his ex-RADA contemporaries. It was to stand him in good stead when he finally hit the headlines in Zulu. Arrived with Zulu. A short, inglorious stint at Theatre Workshop and 5 years as a television bit player kept him in work, just. Meanwhile, in 1955, he married Patricia Hayes, from whom he is now divorced, and they have a 7-year-old daughter. But people began to notice him. A small part in the film Hill in Korea, understudying Peter O'Toole in The Long and the Short and the Tall, and playing it on tour, a good Cockney part in Next Time I'll Sing to You, and Horatio in the BBC's Elsinore Hamlet, all added to his reputation as an actor with a touch of star quality about him. With Zulu, he had definitely arrived, and with the release of the Ipcress File, there is every possibility that he will be a name to conjure with by the summer. People in the business have great faith in him. He has been signed up for 11 films by Harry Saltzman, who is also half the producing management for the James Bond films, which can't be bad, so the future looks promising. When he signed the contract in June, the first thing he did was move out of the furnished flat he shared with Terence Stamp, and take a 5-year lease on a Muse property at Marble Arch. I only brought with me an electric razor and a teaspoon. It's cost me £3,000 so far. But I reckon that either I'm going to be rich enough to have a big expensive place, or I shall be so poor I shan't even be able to afford to live here. So 5 years seemed a good length of time, he chuckled, and lit another Gaulois. He has decorated the sitting room and bedroom, but hardly started on the rest. The room we were in is very elegant, very muted, very warm and relaxing, and though modern, quite unclinical. The whole place is designed to be shut off and insulated against cold and sound, so I can play stereo as loud as I like and not disturb anyone. The basic idea behind this room is that all the materials and colours are natural. The sitting room walls are Japanese grass papered, others all over the house are cloth or Hessian. All the furniture is either leather, teak or unvarnished wood. The colours are all autumnal, ranging from tweedy orange curtains through every shade of beige and brown, including rushes in a jar. I hate bright colours. I've done the bedroom in navy and brown, he admitted, and very masculine and old-school tie it looks. The lights are well placed and especially planned so that it gets darker towards the television. The heating is all by turbo flow fires, though he eventually intends to have central heating, and he has bought a much admired angular freestanding hot point fire, so people can't all crouch around it like they do when they are stuck on a wall. Young men lag behind. His clothes are spare and sombre, and usually blue. I favour a way of dressing that is casual but very expensive, he explained. My trademark is my blue button-down shirt, which I always wear because I cannot stand those bones that go in and always get bent at the laundry when you go and forget to take them out, and which you can never find when you want to, so little bits of collar wrinkle and stick up in the wrong places. On the whole, he thinks young men in England still lag behind their continental counterparts. On the continent, men of 40 wear the clothes a man of 20 thinks are way out here, and so many men still wear wide-bottomed trousers with turn-ups. I just can't stand the way tailors in England still cut great floppy legs and baggy bottoms, and those awful sports jackets that make the slimmest man look as though he has a huge behind. His are skin tight. I dig the very young kids, though. I think their clothes are very smart. They're just not going to be pushed around anymore. At 16, I was scared of everyone over 21 and tried to emulate my elders. The younger generation now say, to hell with it. Of course, they're better looked after. And if they don't have to go out and search for things, they've got everything in their own circle. They don't need adults anymore. If they did, they might copy Mr. Caine and his gang of eye-catching chums who invite a lot of publicity wherever they go. Known as pace setters, their presence in restaurants and clubs sends up the pleb customers. Nightlife is hard to find in London, he said sadly. Everyone is looking for where it swings. Some paper mentions a group of actors frequenting a certain place. And all the guys think, well, if these guys go there, there must be some dolly birds around. The next time you try and book, you can't get a table, or if you can, you don't recognise a single face in the club. Original king-sized chip. Caine is a bit moody socially. I have spates of staying out till 4 a.m. for a couple of weeks, and then I sit here and get terribly involved with television and cook myself joints and fry-ups. I have every kind of record for every kind of mood, and I just go into retreat. I asked him if he had the chip so many successful young men with his background seem to collect. I did have. I used to have the original king-size working-class chip, but it's very hard to feel underprivileged in here, he grinned, looking round the room, which is more sensible of him, as I can't stand chaps who have made it, yet feel they're being got at all the time. Michael's divorce has not put him off marriage. I'm a great believer in it, he said quietly. I'll get married again eventually, because I'd like a lot of children. It's insecurity that ruins marriages. And though on the surface I suppose I still look pretty insecure to a husband snatcher, I'm not really. It's just that when you get this sort of near to sort of making it, when you fall, you don't half fall a long way, he said, shaking his head. I wouldn't want to let anyone in for that. I would hate to share failure with someone, because I regard it as a personal disgrace. I'd loathe to be watched going through it. If Ipcrest flops, I shall shut myself away from everyone. I shan't go out at all, but just sit there until the rent runs out. I believe he almost meant it, but I think it's pretty improbable that Michael Caine will be missing from the West End scene once Harry Palmer hits the espionage trail. If he is, he's got a super flat to be miserable in.